This is the wisdom of crowds. He called it vox populi. Any idea what vox populi means in Latin?
Guessing
Popular is popular, vox is
popular vote.
Kind of close, yeah. Actually, vox is voice, and populi are the people. So this is the voice of the people. Isn't that cool? Yeah. By the way, Spanish came from Latin as well, so I'm sure there's a lot of words that kind of use this. Voice, vox, you know? Yeah, totally. Well, here's what happened. I'm going to tell you this story. Is that Sir Francis Galton, he went to a county fair. And that was a big thing back in England, right? Everybody went to fairs because everybody, half the people were farmers, okay? This is back before, obviously, computers and all that stuff. So he goes to this fair, and they're auctioning off this bull. You could see this bull here. What they did was they had a contest, and if you entered a certain amount of money, they would give you a ticket, and you could guess when they slaughtered this bull how much the meat would weigh. Okay? So it wasn't actually the weight of the bull, it was the weight of the processed meat. Okay? So people would pay their money and then they'd get a ticket. Let me show you. So they get a ticket. They bought it for about a sixpenny. I have no idea how much that would be in today's money. I'd say maybe like $5. It's like your typical raffle, right? This is back in England. So they buy it and they would guess how much the meat after it was slaughtered, how much it would weigh. 800 tickets were issued. Okay? So Galton sees this and he goes, aha, this is my chance to kind of see what's going on with eugenics. His theory was that the experts, the farmers, the butchers would make much better guesses than the average person. But here's the deal: is what he found is on average the experts are going to make a better choice or a better guess than any one individual common person. But when you took all the common people and you took the average of all their guesses, it was the exact weight, which was crazy. So 800 tickets were issued. He went through them. He rejected 13 for being defective or eligible. On these tickets, they asked for the person's name because they obviously had to know who won, right? So the winner got all that meat, which would be a lot of meat, right? When's the last time all of you ate a cow?
Never.
Yeah, it's a lot of meat. So he asked the name, addresses, and estimates of what the ox would weigh after it had been slaughtered or dressed. So he had 787 different guesses from people that contributed to this study. He had experts in there, which were a smaller percentage, some butchers, some farmers, people who would kind of know, who have kind of a background on, how much how much meat you should produce from this cow. But again, most of them were probably non-experts that participated in the contest. Here are some of this is his actual table that he made in his paper. I will take, actually I forgot to do it today, but what I will do is I will go back and I will take this, I will get the table, or I'll print off the paper and actually send it to you. It was only like a page. It amazes me. Back in the day, you could change the world with two pages of text. And these were very small studies. So basically what he did was he took how much, so this is kind of your percentiles, right? Remember we were talking about 95% confidence intervals, 68%, quartiles, means, medians. Everybody's with me, right? Everybody had math? Yeah. So what he did was he found out everybody's estimate. The actual weight of the dressed meat, I believe, was 1,098 pounds. Wait, 1,198 pounds, I believe. He found the median, which was 1,207, or the median, And then basically what he did, everybody's guess, it's just like we did with the crime data, we did with the NFL. He subtracted the mean from everybody's guess, just like we did. After doing that, basically he could model it and he could say, everybody's guess was kind of like, what is this called? Standard distribution. I kind of trapped you on that one. Well, what he found is that people, the middle kind of guessed around here. This was the median guess, but everybody's guesses was kind of balanced. Well, actually, I think more people actually underguessed than overguessed, but it was pretty a normal distribution. It looked kind of like a bell curve. Again, when he took this middle, it was only like 1% off of the actual weight. And the middle of everybody's guess was more accurate than anybody's guess that of all the 800 people. It's kind of like, think about it this way. And I know this is kind of a hard concept to get, but imagine if I had a dartboard up here and I gave you all a dart. I said, hit the bullseye, right? You would all throw your darts. I would probably bring in more students. They would throw darts. In the end, maybe nobody hits the bullseye, right? But you have all these dots, these places where everybody threw it. If I took the middle of all that shrapnel, I bet it's right in the geometric mean of all those throws. I bet it's right in the middle of the bullseye, right? Everybody's intending to hit the bullseye. Some are high, some are low, but I bet it's the center is right where the bullseye is. Does everybody understand that? Sorta? We can do that with information, and I'm going to tell you how you do it. And in fact, not only can we do that with information, we can use it to answer all kinds of cool questions. We can use it to figure out what the Russians are doing. Vox Populi, the voice of the people, is very, very smart, even if certain people aren't very smart. So here were his conclusions. After doing this, he was, obviously you can imagine he was kind of surprised, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that worked. I thought, it was the outliers, the really smart people that, he kind of thought they should run the world. Now what he realizes, hey, there's a wisdom to the crowd. So let me read this. It appears then, in this particular instance, these are his exact words, that the Vox Populi is correct to within 1% of the real value. This result is, I think, more credible to the trustworthiness of a democratic judgment than might have been expected. And then he talks about, hey, maybe we should do this again and start preserving these things. Start, exploring this concept. Again, you can read this. You can look this up and actually find his paper that he did this in. You can look at his data. And that's what we do in science. And that's one of the cool things is once you publish, say you publish 100 years ago or over 100 years ago, I can go find it. Me now, I have computers and stuff. I can go read exactly what he did. I just think that's cool. So he did this, and people were kind of fascinated with it, but kind of let it go. It's until recently that people started rediscovering this whole wisdom of crowd thing, right? Balboa, no computer, please. Shut your computer. Thank you. Excellent. All the way, my man. There you go. So using the crowd to predict the future. So this is actually this is actually become popular now. There's a popular book, and you could I don't know if you'll have it in your library. If you don't, maybe I can recommend or say that they get it.
We don't have a library.
You don't have a library?
No, well, we do, but it's blank. It has no books.
You have a library, but there's no books. I think technically that's just called shelves.
Tables too.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe what I'll do is I'll try to bring some copies in. I don't even have a copy, but I might have to get some. So this guy wrote this Wisdom of Crowds, and basically he talks about how people can use this Wisdom of Crowds in economics, business. There's actually groups that are. There's a soccer team in England that is owned by all the fans. And they use this wisdom of crowd to determine like who to trade, like starting lineups, stuff like that. The team is doing really, really well. What's that?
What's the team name?
I'll look at it.
There are girls on our team?
What's that? No, they do not have girls on their team. This is a men's professional soccer team. Okay. So it's become popular, and I talked about. So this again, this is the stuff Nate Silver did, the predicting the elections. Same thing. Here's what's happening: is the CIA is using it, this wisdom of crowd thing, to determine what, say, if the Russians are going to invade somewhere like Croatia.
I don't know. That's weird.
Here's what they do is, and I'm going to tell you like how all this stuff works, like what are the key conditions. But what they did was they basically get a bunch of people and they say, hey, we want you to tell us how certain you are that Russia is going to invade Croatia, like a percentage, right? I'm 70% certain that they're going to invade, or 60%, right? And they do it to just normal people. And they basically don't give them any information. They just go, well, just Google, find your own information. We all have Google, right?
Yeah.
So these lay people, they'll Google it, and then they'll put their, I think it's this likely. They take that group and they find the average of what they think. Some people will say 70, some just kind of like we did with the score. Some people might say 40, people say 30, whatever. They take the average of that. The average of all those people are much better than like the experts in this field, like the master spies that have been doing this for like 30 years. Just by getting a bunch of people's opinions on something. And we can do this for a lot of different stuff. Let's see. You're not on your phone, are you, man? Oh, just checking. Good. All right, so what are the 4 key requirements for the wisdom of crowds? All right. First off is diversity, because we're all new age, right? Diversity. And I'm not saying, people of different races. I'm saying people that just think different. That's how you do this, is if I went and I got a bunch of engineers to give me their advice, it wouldn't work as well because they all kind of think the same. So in order for this to work, you need to get a bunch of people that will have different opinions, different backgrounds, right? Also, you need independence. And what you're going to see on our list is basically everybody has to make their own choice based on their own information, and they can't be influenced by anybody else. Number 3, you need specialization. That some of these individuals have to be experts in a certain field, right? That if I get a group of experts together, maybe one person's an expert in math, another person's an expert in construction, another person's an expert in, say, business management. Again, that kind of goes to diversity, but then you want people that specialize in a certain area. If you have all those people, you can draw on all their experience when you get that average, and it takes in all that stuff. And then aggregation. We need a way to take kind of like the middle guess from everybody. What questions do you think might not work for that? Can you take, what kind of questions can't you take the average of?
Like a question that's straightforward, like there's just one right answer.
Facts.
What's that?
You can't take the average of facts.
Like a yes or no question?
Yes. And you were getting there too. Right. Like a yes or no. Basically what we call that a binary question, that you only have 2 possible choices, either A or B. The wisdom of crowd does not work for that stuff. Because guess what? When you do that, usually the group or the majority is wrong, which is funny. But if you ask somebody, say, hey, do you think, Donald Trump's going to win, yes or no? But if you asked him, no. But if you asked him, how certain are you that Donald Trump will be the nominee for blah, 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 that'll work. So instead of saying binary things, we have to come up with a question that actually has a range of different answers. And we're going to do that. And then obviously you need a way to collect all that information. And the great thing about nowadays is computers, right? Makes it easy. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to use our computers to have everybody put their answers on so that we just have it in a spreadsheet. It's going to make life a lot easier. Just seen last year we were trying to like